Welcome to the Cognac Room, an uninhibited drink-infused podcast about adulting and male and female interactions. Pull up a chair, pour up a glass, and let's discuss.
What's going on, Mr. Graham? What's going on, brother?
I can't complain. How you doing, bro? How you doing, Jay?
I'm good. I cannot complain myself. Happy to have you on. Ladies and gentlemen, today, our guest of honor is I like to consider him a friend. He's a very interesting guy. He's a very talented guy. He has his own podcast called 9-5 Killers. If you don't know, definitely go and check that out. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Glenn Graham.
Wow, that's a big intro. I like that. So yes, glad to be here on your platform and finally get a chance to talk to you. And I would consider us friends. So yeah, you're accurate in that.
Cool, man. Yeah, absolutely. So first things first, man, tell everybody, about yourself. Drop any plugs, anything you got going on, anything you want to promote. Now's the time to do it.
Well, I'm really here just, I like what you're doing here. I really want to come in and really support what's going on over here. So I have a podcast called 9-5 Killers. I interview entrepreneurs who've killed their day jobs, pursue their passion. I'm a social media strategist. I help people sell their products and services on social media. That's about it. And then the rest, if you want to follow me, you can go to Glenn Graham Speaks on Instagram or 9-5 Killers on Instagram, and you can find out more of what I do. But I don't want to take up time talking about that. Let's dive into the topic.
Let's dive into the topic.
Yes.
Yeah, man. I've been thinking about this one today. I was like, man, I don't know. Should I do this one or not? But it's good stuff. It's stuff that people are concerned with. These are the questions that I get from a lot of people. A lot of people, they come and they say, hey, man, what about this or what about that? I get a lot of emails, get a lot of voice messages and things like that. So we're going to start off like this.
And here comes the question of the day.
The question of the day is, why do you think there's such a big rift between men and women today? Or do you even feel that there is one?
It depends on who you talk to. I think the biggest rift between men and women today and people in general is lack of communication. So everybody is looking at it from their point of view and they don't want to see the other person's side in a simple way.
That's factual. I agree with that 100%. Lack of communication. So here's one of the crazy things about the whole lack of communication. Most of us know, if you ask the average adult what makes for a successful relationship, communication is probably going to be one of the first three things that they say. You agree?
I could agree. I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah.
But with that being the case, how is it, from your perspective, that we still fail so miserably as a whole? When I say that, I'm looking at divorce rates. I'm looking at social media and how everybody's sad and heartbroken and alone.
Man, like I said, this all depends on the individual. Whatever you believe is what's going to continue. So if you believe that there's nobody out there for you, then you're not going to find anybody. If you're not willing to compromise, you're probably not going to find anybody. I see a lot of people, they think they confuse settling, they confuse compromising with settling. They think if they compromise that they're settling. So what people end up doing is they don't have an effective communication style. What they end up doing is they give you a list of demands. And that goes for men and women. And then that's why a lot of people are not getting what they want, because it's not a conversation. It's a list of demands. People are thinking that compromise is something that they don't have to do. And then they get to a point where they get frustrated and they don't have any answers. And then they get upset and they start, generalizing and saying this is what's happening. But it's just really people just not wanting to, compromise at all. They just want it their way and they don't want to listen. They don't want to do it any other way.
I agree with that 100%. I know for myself, compromising has always come easy for me. And I think it may have had something to do with my upbringing. Because I feel like directly as well as indirectly, I was taught that, sometimes you have to give and take. Mm-hmm. I think that today's climate actually encourages and perpetuates certain behaviors, right? And so these are behaviors that maybe some people had that they weren't comfortable with, that they tried to hide. But now it's like, nah, you go ahead and flex that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's okay. The world is accepting of it now, so to speak, And so I find that a lot of people are attacking each other. And so I feel like, in my personal opinion, it's because you have a lot of people who've been hurt. A lot of people who are disgruntled, so to speak. And you said something that was powerful, man. You said, if you believe that that's the way it's going to be.
That's what's going to be.
That's what's going to be.
We could sit here and everybody's been hurt. Everybody has experienced some type of hurt, but being hurt doesn't give you license to go out there and be a jerk. And that goes for men and women. There's a lot of jerks that are men. There's a lot of jerks that are women. And they use the fact that they've been hurt to go out there and do whatever they got to do instead of getting themselves right. Like, if you feel hurt or you feel like you're not in a good place, stop dating. Go get some professional help if you need it, and work through your issues. But you can't, the defense can't be, this woman hurt me, so now everybody's going to feel it. Or this man's hurt me, so everybody's going to get it. All you're really doing is hurting yourself in the end, because people could choose to engage with you or not to engage. As we get older and we get wiser, we understand that everything we don't have to deal with anything that you're doing, right? It's about whether, like, I deal with people who deal with me. That means, so if I look at a successful, I think you had asked me before, what's a successful relationship look like? And that looks different to different people, right? So a successful relationship to me is a relationship based on trust. It's based on flexibility, willingness to compromise, and partnership. What I see a lot, people don't want to be partners. If you have one person that thinks, if a man, he thinks he's the king of the house and he's going to rule. Yeah. And then you got a woman that thinks she's the queen and she's going to rule. So if you don't have a compromise between those two individuals and an understanding and a respect, then you have one person thinks that their role is more important than the other when both together are important. I think that women is, like, any woman I'm with is a partner, but there's a lot of good women. I don't want to make this like there's not good women and good. There's a lot of good women, a lot of good men out there. What you do have out there is you have people, I don't want to say overvaluing, but I think some people don't bring anything to the table and they think that they're the table.
I hear it every week. Every week.
You have to evaluate what it is that you want, and you have to understand within reason. What are you doing to get there? Like, I heard a friend of mine was telling me the other day, he said that, it's not the way it used to be with my lady when we first got together. It was beautiful, and now it's just she's this and that. And I said, well, what did you like about her when you met her? I don't know. If you can't find out what you like, if you can't remember what you liked about her when you met her, then that's probably what's going on. Like, what role are you taking in making things easier? Do you try to do things to make her happy? Because you just talking about she's not making you happy, but you're not talking about making her happy. Exactly. So I think sometimes people look at it, they only see that they're not getting, they don't see how they've changed. And I think in every relationship, we're supposed to change. Like, if you get a car, and I'm not to compare people to cars, but if you get a car, when you first get it, you driving it everywhere. After a while, after you get used to it, you're not driving it the way you used to, because now that relationships grow like that. Now the car is more so you use it as transportation to get where you need to go. It's not so much you riding around the block burning gas, right? So you have as you get older, you have a different understanding of things. Like, relationships is not just about a pretty shiny face. It's about a lot more. And I think some people get stuck in that child mentality of like, it's not new anymore. I got to get something new.
Yeah.
I thought.
No, definitely. I couldn't agree more. I noticed that a lot of times, especially with, I feel like younger people tend to be a little more superficial. Because I know I was. When I was younger, man, it was like, she got to look like this. She got to have this type of shape, all of this sort of stuff. But as I grew and I got more and matured, I still wanted a nice package, but it wasn't as important. I was more concerned about what was going on the inside. Like, is this somebody that is going to have my back if things should go left for whatever reason? You know, I recently, I think I saw a movie or something where things were good with the guy and the female until his brother got into some mess. And then she was like, oh, I gotta, you know what I'm saying? And so I thought that was crazy because it wasn't even him who had gotten into this mess. It was his brother. But some people are so big on like images, you know, like the appearance of things. Because what's unseen pretty much for the most part and most people goes ignored. So I feel like when people are looking for mates or spouses, they have a tendency to overlook the intangibles.
Mm-hmm. But you feel like it's just with I don't think it's just with younger people. I think it's a case by case. There's people that when they're younger, I've seen younger people that have been very focused on those things that you're talking about, principles and values. And I've seen people my age and older, you know, going after like, you know, living their second childhood almost. So it all depends. It really depends on who we surround ourselves with and what we are consuming. Because there's some people that they've always, I think you mentioned that they've always had it in them, and now they're just expressing it. They're putting it out there, like, you know, they've been hurt, and now they're thinking, oh, you know, I think we all have been in a situation where we're operating from our lower selves. Yeah. And some people think that that's power. It's not power. It can be childish at some point to not acknowledge your pain and to ignore your pain and then to use that as a reason. Like I see people walking around like with a chip on their shoulder, ready. Like, you know what I love with people like that? I love when you don't give them what they want. I love when they looking for a fight, but you don't give it to them. You wish them well, you wish them blessings, you keep it moving. Before I wasn't even aware of that I was lowering myself by arguing and fighting with people like that. Some people, and that goes, I know we've been talking about relationships, but even relationships, you have somebody in a relationship that wants war. They think they want peace, but they talking about war. They want to be respected, but they're not being very respectful. So it depends on I don't think it's an age thing. I think it's I wouldn't just say it's experiences that we have. So depending on what you've seen growing up and also what you're willing to learn. Because like I said, I didn't grow up in my household, it was pretty peaceful, but the area that I grew up in was, you know, it was a lot of feuding and things. So, but that's not an excuse to behave a certain way. Like, how much are you willing to grow and learn? And a lot of people are not willing to learn and grow. So they use whatever they grew up in, you know, as a defense mechanism, as opposed to getting the help that they need to have a successful relationship. You know,
exactly. Yeah. One of the things that I've realized is there are people, I won't say that there are a lot of people, I won't generalize it, but there are people who will not seek any type of help. I'm talking about they won't pick up a self-help book. They won't talk to a friend or a family member. They won't seek out professional help. Because I think that to a large group of people, that would be a sign of weakness. It's considered a sign of weakness. It's considered a sign of strength to me, because only a strong person has the will and the fortitude to do something like that, knowing how they could possibly be perceived. You have to move forward knowing, like, I don't care about what people think about me. I'm doing this for me because I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to be better. Because at the end of the day, everybody wants someone that's on this level But we don't. Are we really working towards getting to that level and being what we want? Because, you know, to a degree, you attract what you are. I tell people all the time that hood chicks don't really care for me like that. They don't.
Wait, what does that mean? Hood chicks don't really care for you.
So
what you mean?
Okay, I don't want to say it. Well, yeah, it's kind of accurate, but like,
I gotta hear this one.
Like street chicks don't really rock with me like that.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think?
Because they don't see that in me. Because I don't embody some of the, or they don't think I embody some of the attributes that they're looking for. What's interesting?
I gotta push you on that one.
Yeah,
I gotta push you on that one. I believe like there's some people that I've seen that are really like, I mean, they're a certain level. There's guys and girls, and then when I meet their partner's hood as hell. I think opposites can attract. I think
opposites definitely attract.
It might just be that you haven't met it, but I think that there's a person that you might consider a hood chick who doesn't either realize that they are, or they want better, but they were born into that life for real. And they look at somebody like you and they say, I want to be, I've had women that I've went out with that wanted to change whatever they felt that was. Like if they felt they was hood, they was like, they felt I legitimized them, but they wasn't willing to change and they shouldn't have to. But for me, it was a no for me because the things that they was doing, I'm not really into that. But I could understand how somebody could look at you, or even there's some people who are, I would think are super sophisticated and they go for the hood chick.
Absolutely.
So your heart doesn't decide. Like I've been out with some, I can be honest. I've been out with some people and I questioned what I was doing out with them. So I think it all depends. If you might have not read the right one, but you could be attracted to one of them too.
Well, no, I have been, and they have been attracted to me. So I'm not saying that it's like never. Across the board or never.
Okay.
But what I'm saying, when I look at the consensus, is definitely fewer street girls or street chicks, or you know what I'm saying, like chicks that's still in that, like I was in that life too, you know what I'm saying, but it was a long time ago. And I mean, a lot of that stuff's been purged out of me so much to the point that people can't even see it. There are people who don't actually know me. They're like, man, I would have never thought that was your story, right? And that's fine. That's good. I mean, that says a lot. But so there have been some who on the surface are like, yeah, I like him. I want to kick it with him, hang out with him. And then they get around me, get in my presence, and they realize, yeah, I don't really, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, and even my friends, bro, like guys who were good friends of mine, and it's not, I don't judge them. You know, it's not like a judgy thing, but like, you know, they be like, well, you know, we gonna be smoking weed. He don't smoke weed. Let's just not, you know, let's not involve him. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that's respectful. But so I think it's that sort of thing to a degree. And then, you know, I think that sometimes because they didn't take the time to really get to know me, they prejudged in thinking that maybe I was going to be judgmental towards them. Not knowing that we cut from the same cloth, man. I had different life experiences and I'm different today. But it's no different. I'm no better than you. I'm no different than you. And the reason I'm here with you is because I see something I like. You know what I mean? But you know how that goes, man.
You clean that up nicely.
But no, like seriously, that's like a specific person comes to mind when I talk about that. And man, I'll be honest with you. I liked her. She was attractive. I met her. We, like, the same day I met her, you know, took her out. That was different for me. I wasn't the guy that the same day I meet you, I'm calling you and hanging out with you the exact same day. That wasn't my thing. And then we got out, and every other word out her mouth was the N-bomb, bro. And loud. In a place that I happened to frequent, and most of the people there knew me, the bartenders and everybody. I was embarrassed, bro. And I was like, like, man, I gotta.
Why were you embarrassed?
Because her behavior was embarrassing to me because I wouldn't act that way in public, and I wouldn't want someone who's in my presence, especially my date, acting that way with me in a public place.
Did she give you, like, was that the first time you ever been out with her or talked to her?
Very first time. I met her. So let's say, for example, I met her at 5 o'clock. By 8 o'clock, we were on a date.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
That's my fault. I didn't vet her first.
Listen, that's the vetting process. Like, if I go out with somebody, if you go out with somebody, right, and you don't vet them, that's like letting somebody into your home and you just meet them, and then you, like, I have friends who introduce women that they just met to their mother before date one. For me, I'm a little different. Like, I think that there's a certain, I'm not judging anybody that does that, but I don't know if it's to get the girl to trust them. I don't know why people do that. But for me personally, what my mother thinks is very important, and I have a lot of respect for her and my father. So bringing somebody to my home was something I wasn't raised to do. So when I used to see friends of mine do it, or even family members just bring people home, I used to be like, interesting. I wonder why they do that. So I ain't gonna let you slide on that one. If you would have vetted that girl for 5 minutes, you would have known.
Right. No, and that
wasn't supposed to go out with her.
I said it. It was my fault. I didn't vet her. Okay. I said that. It was my fault. I should have definitely spent a little more time with her, especially before taking her to some place that I go on a regular basis. You know,
well, even going anywhere,
but definitely, definitely somewhere.
Well, for me, let me tell you something. For me, I don't really mind the fact that if I sign up for that and you behave like that in front of people that I know, I wouldn't feel bad about it. For me, I'm thinking about being on a date with somebody. I'm like, man, I'm wasting time. That's what I'm thinking. I'm wasting time with this person because I know I don't want, because and I'll say this for myself, when I was younger, I thought that time was infinite. So I had all the time in the world. As I got older, I'd rather be with somebody who nourishes me mentally and I want to be there, as opposed to being out with people and I feel like it's a stretch, it's a strain. I see people on dates saying, I wish it was over. I'm like, man, I don't know how you're doing that still. I remember when I was younger, I used to do that. I was too nice. I won't even say too nice. I didn't know how to set boundaries. So if I wasn't happy on a date, I didn't know how to stop the date, amicably. Like, you know what? After dinner, this is it. Oh, that means I'm gonna go have dessert with you, and because I don't want you to feel bad. Now, at this point in my life, it's like it's about being nice, right? Being honest and setting boundaries, but doing it with kindness, right? So you could be kind. I was kind with this one lady when I was single, and she reached out to me and wanted to go out again, and I told her that I didn't want to go out on another date with her, but I didn't say it that way. I told her what my issues were. Like I was like, listen, I don't think this is a good match. This is what happened on the date. I wasn't really feeling the energy. And she was like, oh, but if you give me another chance. And I was like, listen, it's not even about that. And I asked her, was this the first time somebody ever told you? He said, no, this is not the first time. So the things that you were doing, which makes, makes me not want to go on another date with you. So she said as much, right? So that's something that you might want to talk to somebody else about, like a friend or somebody closer to you, and y'all could figure. But I'm not going to be going out trying to figure out. Like, I didn't have a lot invested. I'm being more upfront than most people will be. Some people just ghost you, man or woman. They just stop calling you, stop picking up your phone. I didn't want to do that to her. I wanted her to know, it's not like it was a terrible thing, but there was things she was doing on a date that was just like, no, you don't do that on a date, like taking things out the restaurant or doing little things like that. Like, that's not, there's nothing that, I'm not saying she did that. I'm just giving, I don't want to go
example.
To it because she might be following me on social. So I don't want to put her under the bus.
No, I get it. Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%, man. That particular young lady, I cut the night short with her.
Okay.
Yeah, I cut the night short. I wait till she was done because we were sitting at the bar and we were drinking, and I was going to get some food, but I wait till she was done with her drink. And I said, hey, I'm going to have to cut this short.
You said it like that?
Yeah, I said, I'm going to have to cut this short. Really? Say, I got something I need to do. I apologize. I faked like I had like some important stuff.
How old were you? How old you did this?
Oh, I was an adult, man. I had, I was, if I had to guess, I'd probably say maybe I don't really know, man. I was in my late 20s, early 30s.
So let me ask you a question. Suppose she would have said to you, because you said I got something to do. I got to cut it short. Suppose she would have said the next day, "Hey, let's take up where we left off." What would you tell her then?
No, I wasn't gonna talk to her anymore. I didn't talk to her anymore. And let me tell you what happened. Like, she called a few times and I left. I didn't pick up.
Why not?
I didn't want to talk to her, man. I just she completely turned me off, like, with her behavior. Like,
so I got a follow up for you.
Yeah.
So we talking about like successful relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So how does a person grow if people when they do something that we don't, or they're
if we don't tell them,
if people don't tell them? Like, I love when somebody tells me why, but I what I hate, and I got used to it. If people when they don't enjoy the date, they don't tell you they don't enjoy the date. Everybody else know but you.
Yeah,
you got to find out from somebody else. So my question to you is, what made you not help this lady and tell her, hey, listen, what didn't you like about her, and then why didn't you want to tell her?
Okay, what I didn't like about her was the fact that I saw that she didn't have any couth, number one. Number two, I saw that she had very little respect for herself as well as others. And so I saw the problems and the drama coming. I knew 100% for sure that I could have went to bed with her that night.
Okay.
I knew that without a shadow of a doubt. That was a given, but it wasn't worth it. You understand what I'm saying? And
that wasn't the goal.
That wasn't the goal. I was trying to, because she was attractive, and I was like, man, I want to get to know her. I want to hang out, and and when a woman looks like that, you want to show them off a little bit, So, and had things gone well, and she wanted to go back to her place or my place, then something could have happened, but things didn't go well. But I know there are a lot of dudes who would have tolerated it and sat there and gone through it just to get back to the bedroom. And then after
at a certain age, I was one of those guys too. So I'm not going to sit here and be
I was too. No, I was too.
So
I was
can
too.
see that.
Even during that time, Glenn, I was still like that. But that one right was a no, because I had just experienced something like just before that, and I was on my avoidance. What I'm saying? Like, I'm dodging bullets out here.
No, I get it. No, but I think with people, I think the issue that I think, if we're talking about men and women, is also it's that thing, right? Like, we have to start to we got to communicate better. Like, like, one of the worst things that I've done is not communicate what I wanted. And so when I got to a certain age and I realized, this lady, she put me on. She, like, I'll tell you a quick story. Like, I was like probably 20 something. I was early 20s. And I went and I was seeing this girl. I went to Grambling State. Shout out to my brother. Went to Grambling State. I went out there to visit him. I ended up staying 2 months because Grambling is just that cool. So shout out to anybody that go to Grambling State. So I went out there. I met this young lady and we were hanging out. And I remember, but there was a lot of women there, and I was on vacation. So I met her, and I didn't think that I was going to meet anybody else. I'm from New York. You don't meet that many people like that. At least I didn't. Let me say that. I didn't meet that many people like that. But I was meeting different people, and they were trying to schedule dates for me. And I was like, I had just went out with this other lady the night before. And I was just like, and I could tell she, like, we went out 2 nights, I think. And then so I think the third night, I scheduled a date with this other young lady. We sitting in the pizza shop, and on campus. I think it was on campus, right? Mm-hmm. Around campus, somewhere in Grambling. So this lady starts. I see the woman that I was with the night before walking by the pizza shop. So I sunk in my seat, like really low, because I didn't want her to see me, right? But she saw me, and she was like, she looked at me, and just to make sure it was me, she came around, she walked into the pizza shop, and she said, hey, Glenn. And then she introduced herself to the other woman. She said, hello, my name is whatever. Can I have a word with Glenn for a minute? And that was a girl that had no clue, because she was like me and her were friends and buddies. So we went outside, and she said, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm on a date. And she's like, no, why are you hiding? And I was like, because we was just together the other night. I didn't want you to feel bad. And she was like, you never have to hide with me. You never have to do that. She said, man or woman, you have to let me know what's going on. Like if I see it, and then I'll make my decision. But you don't have to hide. I'm not your girlfriend. And she's like, we still on for tomorrow? I'm like, yeah. And after that day, she set me straight. So she schooled me. And she was younger than me. She might have been like 18. She schooled me in communication. I've been on that communication quest ever since. If I could get her, she's on Instagram. If I could get her, you should bring her on your show. Very enlightened girl, because young woman, I should say, because she really schooled me, because I didn't see that behavior in my neighborhood. I seen guys doing, having this one over here and having that one over here. She said, if you want to, tell her both of them.
Yeah.
If you
That's
want
where
three,
I'm at with it, bro.
tell all three of them, but don't run around hiding around. And so because she really freed me, because there's situations that I would tell somebody, I'm like, hey, I'm seeing somebody, but it's not exclusive. You want to see me? They'd be like, no, thank you.
Right.
And the good thing about that is, and some people was like, you know what? I really appreciate that. Even though it's a no, I appreciate it. And some people, it was a yes for them. But the good thing, I was never looking over my shoulder. And I think that a lot of people, they think, oh, I'm a player. I got three, this one and that one. But you got to look over your shoulder. I don't have to look over my shoulder, because that lady set me straight, and her, by her schooling me, she saved countless women. Who knows? And she really educated me and put me on the path to being like communicating. What I really learned from that lesson was communicate, let people know where they stand. Like if I'm with somebody, and let's say if I'm not interested in that, but I'm interested in something else, I can be like, listen, I don't really see a future with us, but I'm having fun. I think you're a fun person to hang out with. Right. Some people didn't like that. Some people stepped off.
They're gonna take off.
And some no, but some people stuck around.
Right. No, I get it,
because I was honest with them. So being honest, like, and being kind, and just being like, this is where I'm at. Because I think what happens is, when you start to lie, the lie gets so big, and then you got to cover it up. And then it just always, I don't know, it's heavy.
It makes you look bad, man.
It's heavy to carry.
It's heavy to carry. And people lose respect for you when you have to lie to them. You know what I mean? I've realized that, because I did a lot of lying, Clint. I did a lot of lying, bro.
Oh, me too. That's how I know. That's how I know that it's a heavy load to carry.
It's a heavy load.
You have to remember all your lies.
That's right.
You could tell somebody the truth when you look at somebody, and you could tell them straight up what's going on. I've had a situation where I was in Harlem when I was single, and I was dating like these three girls, and they all knew about each other. And one day I'm walking down the block. I know she's gonna see this because she follows me. But I'm walking down the block in Harlem, and she calls my cell phone. I want a date, and she's like ringing my phone. So I get worried, because I'm thinking something happened. Like, I'm worried about people. So I pick up the phone, like, you okay? She's like, yeah. Where are you at? Are you in Harlem? I'm like, yeah, I'm in Harlem. Why? Are you on a date? I said, yes, I am on a date. Why? She's like, get rid of her right now. I'm coming over there. I said, you're not coming over there. I said, I know exactly where you at, and I'm on my way. Like, she was in a salon down the block and saw me walk past the salon getting her hair done. And her homegirl told her that I was walking with this girl. And I said, I don't know who you with, and who you lying to, but you already know that you're not the only one, and we have an understanding. And so I don't know what you're doing. So don't even come over here. She threatened to come over there. I said, well, it was security at the front. I said, I'm gonna tell the security, because my friend, I said, if you come, I'm gonna pretend like I never seen you. And you're gonna get embarrassed, because that security guard gonna bounce you right out of here. And we friends. Listen, we friends now. She got a guy, but we friends since then. We laughed about that stuff. But back then, when it was happening, I was like, listen. I told her when we ended up seeing each other, and having a conversation. I said, at least how many guys lied to you? You know how many women lied to me?
Right.
For me, and I found out the hard way. You knew. Yeah. So you knew. You accepted. You accepted the situation. Deal with it. You know what I mean? That's period. Now, you don't like it. You can say, this doesn't serve me. I'm leaving. I won't try to hold you. But sometimes, no, she stayed.
He's like, no, what? No,
because it's real. It's like, yo, it's the realest thing. Like, the realest thing you could do for somebody, if at least you know who I'm with. Right. Somebody that lies to you and says that you the only one, there could be 25 others. You don't know.
That's right.
Me, it's you, this one, and you know that. And the reason why that is because I'm not ready, and I don't commit to somebody when I'm not ready. Because the worst thing is committing or settling. Right, as I told you earlier, it's not a compromise. You're settling because you want to make somebody feel good, and then you end up disrespecting them because you wasn't ready. So when I'm ready and I'm in the right mind space, if you still around, but I'm not going to do it to make you feel good, it's going to make you worse, because when you find out that I was never truly there for you, I was there in spirit, but not in mind, body, and soul. Right? So I want to be there 100% for you, so that you know when you're walking down the street that it's just me and you, and nobody laughing behind your back.
Right. Yeah.
What you like? That's a peace of mind.
It is. And that was the thing, man. My mother told me at a very young age, when I was like in middle school, girlfriend, that's my girlfriend. She said, okay, how many other girlfriends you got? I said, nah, it's just me and her. You know what I'm saying? She was like, Jay, she said, you're too young. You're too young. You don't even know what you want. You need to date a lot of different people so that you can know what type of person you want to be with.
What, your mother told you that when you had a girlfriend to date, to have multiple girlfriends?
She told me I didn't need a girlfriend. She told me that I should be just dating, going out, hanging out with different girls. And don't just be committed to one girl where you got to be with this girl and you can't be with anybody else. Just hang out with different girls. But don't commit to any of them saying I'm your boyfriend.
But isn't it difficult? All right, so here's my question. Isn't it difficult, right? Because I feel there's some guys that I know, and I'll be honest with you, they was already men when I was a boy. They was already men. I'm not gonna say no names because I don't know how far this is gonna go.
Right.
But I watched them since I was a child never have one girlfriend, never claim one girlfriend. The problem is now they're older than, well, they was older than me then, but now they're like, I'm 48. Yeah. Some of these guys are like 60 and they're still doing that. They still have multiple.
And they'll die alone.
And I feel sad for them because I'm like, dude, and you know, because they didn't get a chance to exercise that muscle. I think the best thing I have ever done is because I know what it's like to be with one woman. I know what it's like to have multiple. When you only have, I think one part I do agree with your mom is that if you have like a long-term relationship very early, and that's like from, let's say, high school, and then y'all like child, and not to put this out there, but if you childhood sweethearts, and you start getting up in the 40s and you haven't experienced anybody else but that one person since high school, you might start, Tokyo drift might happen.
Exactly.
But, you know what I'm saying? But I do agree though that but also I agree that there's a certain thing about like when I about understanding what commitment means. A lot of people don't understand what commitment means because they've never really been committed. Exactly. Like this guy I'm mentioning, I've never, when I tell you, I've never seen him say, hey, this is my lady. This is my girlfriend. Everybody I meet, this is my friend Sherry. This is Donovan. This is this one. This is this one. And I'm like, and I used to be like, and now finally that he's a little older, I see this one lady and he says that this is his lady. Okay. But he's like 60 something.
Yeah, he's trying to.
Why took you so long? I was like,
trying to catch her before he get in that wheelchair.
You need a nurse. He should just be like, that's probably his nurse.
Yeah, But no, man, and that was the thing. I think the reason my mom was saying that to me was because of how young I was.
How old were you?
I was like middle school, like maybe 6th, 7th grade, bro.
Oh, 6th, 7th grade.
Yeah.
The way you made it sound was like, I thought you was saying you was like, 20 something.
Nah, middle school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she was like, yeah, nah, don't do that. Like just, date different girls and stuff. And so I didn't listen. Right. Mm-hmm. But I did the little player stuff because I had these examples, the uncles and everybody. And then I became the uncle or the cousin that always showed up to the family function with a different female. And at the time, I thought the shit was cool. I thought it was slick. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Nothing slick about that, bro. Because I even had a good friend of mine basically say to me one time, like, man, my wife is complaining that every time you come over, you got a different chick. We got girls here, man. Like, it's a bad example.
Wait a second. Wait, hold on. Wait, hold.
I'm telling you.
Wait, repeat what you just said. I want to make sure I heard before I respond to that.
I had a friend of mine to tell me once my wife is complaining about the fact, or I won't say complaining because that wasn't the word, but it was like, she said something about the fact that every time you come through, you have a different woman with you. And we have children here. We have girls here, and they see that. And it's not the best example. Now, I Okay. I'm gonna leave it there. Man. I'm gonna leave it there.
All right, so here's my thoughts. Okay, that sounds a little different because you was coming to their house, right?
Yeah, as a guest. Yeah.
All right, so here's my thing. In their household, right? I could understand that because if I'm a guest in your house, what you say is law. I just probably wouldn't be going to that household anymore.
Right.
And the reason why is not because I have to go with a different girl, but the reason why is that you expecting everybody to be the example for your children is not gonna happen.
It's not
right?
the standard.
Who you want to be for your children is who you're supposed to be. Who I'm supposed to be is who I'm supposed to be. I can't be who I am. But so you saying, I'm Glenn, you know what? You can't come to my house with those girls. You could set it. Like, if I was your friend, like him passing that information to you, I'm like, did you want that, or you just trying to appease your wife? Like, you have to say, listen, we don't like having different women coming to the house, blah blah blah. So if you're gonna do that, you can't come. That's cool, but nobody could say my wife feels it's not a good example for her children. Instead of just being like, listen, there's men in the world and there's women in the world, and they do things differently than you and I. And we don't have to judge them on it. We don't have to agree with it, but this exists in the world. I use it as a teaching moment.
Teaching moment. Listen, you took the word right out of my mouth. Exactly.
It's a teaching moment because you can easily say, you know what? We don't do it that way, but that's how he does it. You know? And I think, and then it ain't your father ain't doing that. Like, be concerned with who your husband's bringing home, because there's somebody doing that. And then meanwhile, your husband has, like, be worried about if your husband has a girlfriend.
Yeah.
But you can't tell me who I'm supposed to have and how I'm supposed to date.
I get it. I agree. But
I don't agree with that.
But so the thing was too, when I say the teaching moment, it's an opportunity to say, okay, you see how dude is? This is how, there are a lot of guys like, dude, do you think that those other women know that he's coming here with the next woman? You got to be careful when you're selecting, teachable moment like a mug, man.
So here's the thing. You could scare them that way, though.
Well, it's not even a scare. It's spitting truth. It's spitting truth.
When I say you could scare them, I'm saying there's women that I think their parents scared them so much that when a guy leaves the house,
they think she's
tracking them. Yeah. So then you by you putting it, because then you might have this young girl might have a guy who's not doing that, and she's gonna run him off the same way. But what I'm saying is, if you are okay with that, then have a conversation. But it can't be a conversation that, be careful, guys are like that, because then the girl goes, yeah, like fathers have been telling young girls that, mothers have been telling guys are creeps, right? So the girl walks up, she becomes a woman. And you know what she does? She hasn't experienced any of that. But what she does, she puts that in the air. Like, I had a girl that would call me constantly, and we didn't break up because I was cheating on her. We broke up because I thought she was insecure. And she didn't become insecure on her own. She came insecure because I talked to her one day. She said her father told her and her mother told her and this one. And I said, but have I done any of those things? No.
Right.
But I know men do this. Okay. And that lady's probably, if she doesn't get help, she's going to be alone. Because if you think that, no, but but there's guys like that too.
Yeah, most guys too.
Your parent, what you mean most guys what?
So not most guys. Let me not say most guys. A lot of guys too is what I wanted to say. And a lot of guys.
I want to make sure I hear.
A lot of guys. Okay, so I know guys. I remember. I have friends, and I was gonna say this when you spoke about it earlier, but I have friends who have said things like, "Man, I ain't never get married. I don't want to be married. A woman ain't gonna do nothing but hold me back, hold me, you know what I'm saying? I'm not ever I have, and to this day, they've lived that. They have not gotten married. I don't think they will ever get married. They're just ripping and running the streets. But I had a conversation with a good friend of mine just recently, and I told him, I said, man, I said, play around if you want to. When it stops working, you're done.
What you mean?
I was joking with him, but I was telling him, like, man, a woman that wants a man to be able to function in all the capacities that a man should function, if you get some ED or something, man, it's going to be harder to find somebody.
He wasn't being safe, you're saying?
No. Just saying, like, you've seen the memes. People say men wait until, they're on their last leg to want to commit to a woman. And then by that time, they're not even really a benefit. In some instances, it does happen. So what I was explaining to him, what I was explaining to him in a joking manner was, like, bro, while you still got some tread on your tires, you need to go ahead and get for real with somebody before it's too late and you have less to offer. You know what I mean? Because if you could be everything a woman wants, but she still wants a little bedroom activity, and if you can't do that, that'll be the deal breaker for that.
But you could be married and your wife could want some bedroom activity. So if that goes out, you could still be.
Well, right? Yeah, but people get left too.
So here's my question. My question would be this, because it almost sounds like it's almost like, what you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say, but because the difference between that with the wife and with this one, there's a foundation. You've already built something. Like if you're like, you can't really build if you don't have all the tools.
So here's my thing. If a person only gets married because they're afraid because this sounds like a person that's afraid of being alone. Am I making that right?
Afraid of being alone? No, he's not afraid of being alone.
No. I didn't say he's afraid of being alone. I'm saying if the only reason, let's say if a person is saying, I don't want to be married because I don't like the institution of married, and you tell them, well, marry while you still can because it's going to be too late. Isn't that almost like saying you marrying because you want to make sure that you're not alone?
Well, the reality is, if you are afraid of being alone, if you don't want to die alone, if you want to experience companionship at any stage in your life, you can't wait much longer, bro, because nobody wants to, and you may find somebody, lots of people do, but my thing is, I wouldn't feel comfortable taking a bunch of medical problems and health problems to somebody after I've been running and ripping and running and ripping and running, and now I'm like, I ain't want to settle down, but now, my ticker bad, I got, what I'm saying, my back hurt all the time, and I'm on 10 different pill prescriptions. So yeah, I want somebody now. I would feel bad about doing that to somebody, bro.
Right, but all right, so my question would be this, right? Let's say a person doesn't want to be married, right? They don't want to be married, and their reasoning behind getting married is because they don't want to be alone. Because just because you're married doesn't guarantee that if you get sick, your wife stays by your side.
Absolutely.
Or your husband stays by your side.
Right.
Or that they stay loyal to you. So I think if a person is saying, I want to rip and run, and they genuinely want to do that, I would advise them to rip and run as long as they can.
Rip and run until you can't do it anymore and die alone.
Listen, we all die alone.
Well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Listen, they only put one. My mother said they only put one person in the casket with you. So whoever's crying by the bed, and they bury you alone. As far as I know,
bury you alone.
So
that's fact.
So my thing is, there's people that are miserable because they're so afraid of dying alone, which you're going to die alone anyway. And companionship is not just getting married, because there's a lot of people who get married and then they stop communicating with their partner. So you got somebody next to you in your bed with you, and you're both alone. Yeah. So my thing is, if you, in your heart of heart, if you're a stallion and you want to run the plains, I tell them run until your heart stops. Smoke, drink, do whatever else, and die a stallion. Right. But don't. It's almost like somebody, like when people kind of, when I hear people, and not to bring up religion, but when people talk about becoming religious, there's religious people that tell you the beauty about coming to religion, and there's one that's going to tell you about the doom and gloom. Right. If you don't save your soul now, you're going to burn in hell. So I think that's what people are doing with like a person that doesn't want to get married. I know people that don't want to get married, and I encourage them to stay single until they want to get married.
If that's truly what you want. But here's the thing. Okay. Here's the thing. Here's what happens. I've seen it, and I'm somewhat seeing it in him. Okay. I want to run. Right. And you're cool with running the streets and running the women. You're cool with that until now some other things start to happen. You can't move as fast. You can't make it down the field as fast as you could before. So now you're looking at other prospects. You're looking at other ways.
Get a nurse.
Exactly. But
if you worry about being sick, a wife ain't here to take care of you. Get a nurse.
She's not. But my point is, a lot of these guys don't start desiring companionship until they realize that I can no longer play the game. My time in the game is limited. So now I feel I want to be with someone. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying you have to get married, man, because that was one of the things I was going to actually ask you about too, is how important are titles? Because if you look at it, marriage in and of itself is a civil construct of certain proportions that people put together that don't necessarily mean what they try to make it mean in my mind. That's how I look at it. Although I believe in marriage, but I believe in marriage in a different way. You know what I'm saying? I believe in marriage for like, it's more of for legal documentation than anything else, because you could love someone and live with someone and been married to them for however long. You know what I'm saying? That's how I view it. Okay. But so I'm not saying that they need to get married, but there are a lot of women, especially women of a particular age, who they just, if I'm gonna be with you and you're gonna be with me, then that's what it's gonna be. And unless you're gonna lie to them, they're not tolerating that other stuff.
But you don't have to lie to them. You should never lie.
You should never
my
lie.
Thing is, listen, my thing is this. And listen, if somebody wants it, it goes down to this. It's not even about like when you talk to address the first thing with marriage, right? Mm-hmm. When it comes down to marriage, if that's something that you want to do because you believe in marriage, you should do it. If you don't, if you're looking for a companion, get a dog. It's easier.
But it ain't the same.
And that goes for man and woman. No, you want companionship, get a dog. You don't respect the what marriage stands for. You're not going to be loyal to your wife or your husband, right? Or whoever you're with. Then don't put anybody through that. Don't put yourself through that. It's not going to work. So get a dog, because a dog, at least you don't got a lot of your dog. You got one dog. You only can take care of one at a time. So do that and keep dating. That's my thing. That's the thing. I really believe that. Do that.
And I know,
but don't do the other thing.
I know that the older we get, sometimes there's. I said this in a recent podcast, man. Like, the dating is hard. The older you get, the harder it gets. Right. That's my opinion. And
wait, what do you mean?
The older you get,
are you asking me? Or are you telling me?
No, I'm making a statement. I'm just saying I'm of the opinion that the older you get, the harder dating gets. Right?
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because now you have more outside. I don't want to say outside influence, but now you have a plethora of other things that you bring to the marriage that weren't there when you were, say, 25 years old necessarily. You know what I mean?
Like what?
Okay, like children, like life circumstances, be it health stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe you've created some financial obligations now. The younger you get married, the newer your start is, generally speaking. The newer your start is, and you can build something together. Now, if you get married at 50, the chances of Marla having a few kids is greater than it was when she was 20. That's my opinion.
But that's a deal breaker. So you got to understand, some of the stuff is like, if we look at it from our perspective, right? Mm-hmm. Like when you talked about it in the beginning, what a successful relationship looks like.
Exactly.
Somebody doesn't mind if Marla has a baby or two. Exactly. Someone doesn't mind if Jeffrey comes with health conditions. So we have to look at relationships for what we want.
But now your search, or what am I saying? Now your options are narrowing.
That's fine.
That's fine.
What's wrong with narrow option? Yeah,
that's fine. But I'm not asking. I wasn't questioning your statement. I was agreeing with you. That is fine.
But my question is, like, what's wrong? Like, here's the thing. What people don't realize, right, is that there are, like, I think dating is different, right? Dating is different. Mm-hmm. When you're younger, it's different when you're older. Like the thing that I would say that you have that you come to the table with when you're older and you've been through stuff is, you know what you like at this age and you know what you don't like at this age. You know what you're willing to tolerate at this age. You know what you're not going to tolerate at this age. You understand what I'm saying? So Agreed. When you come with that understanding, you can make more informed choices. You're not making decisions based off of, this person. Like, there's some guys and some women that still make decisions based off of superficial things, and that has nothing to do with age. That has a lot to do with emotional integrity and where they're at in life and what they've emotional maturity and self-awareness and you know, and all the other things that come along with it. When you don't understand certain things, or you've been shown a certain way, you move a certain way. But I think that, like, to get to your point, like when you were talking about like that guy that wants to date and he wants to move around. Listen, everybody's not going to be a husband. Everybody's not going to be a wife. There's some people that they should not be, that
or parents.
I'm serious.
Or parents. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's some people that's what their role was never to be in a relationship like that. And they know it. And I used to feel sorry for people like that. And then I grew not to feel sorry because they chose it. And everybody doesn't feel bad about not being. I know friends that are very happy, old and still excited about, I don't report to nobody and I just do this. And they're happy.
They're happy.
You want a person like that to stay alone until they don't want to be alone anymore. And if they come with health conditions and the options are slimmer, they knew when they were out there ripping, they knew that they knew the consequences. So they got to deal with it.
I agree with you. But here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's where I do disagree.
Okay.
I've spoken to two people, a man and a woman. Probably, actually more than that. But I'm going to use this man and this woman for this example.
Okay.
This woman, now, granted, she wasn't running around, running the streets, putting miles on her goodies or anything like that.
I'm not even touching that one, but go ahead, continue.
but
miles on her goodies.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But you know, she's been very selective about the men she's, you know, been seriously involved with and allowed to have relations with her. So there aren't that many.
Okay.
But because she has been so picky, she has kept herself from a lot of bull crap, but she also has subjected herself to a lot of unnecessary bull crap because I was one of those guys that she allowed herself to be involved with. And at that time in my life, I wasn't prepared for what she wanted, and I hurt her a lot. I did, right? And so because of that, I believe that PTSD, relationship PTSD is a real thing. So because of that, you know, as far as I know, there's only been one other relationship since. And that one didn't go as far as I think either of them would have liked, but life gets in the way and things happen. So I know for a fact that this woman doesn't want to be alone, man, but she doesn't want to settle. And I think she's just now beginning to come to grips with the fact that it may not happen.
No, but she shouldn't settle.
And she shouldn't. I agree with that, 100%.
But she should be willing to make a compromise.
And that's the thing. Different. That's the thing. Exactly.
Settling and compromising, two different things, right?
I agree. You know, like there was like, and it's weird, man, because, and I know she's gonna know that I'm talking about her, but nobody knows I'm talking about her but us. You know what I mean? So that's cool. But, and I tell this story. I've told this story at least 3 or 4 times on the podcast, but she stopped dating a guy who's actually a pretty successful guy. And from what I understand, he's a good dude because he didn't open her door for her, right? But then here comes Jay Boogie, who ain't about Jack, right? But I opened the door. And I said certain things and I had the mannerisms. And even when she met me, she said, hey, dude, like when I met you, I just wanted to hang out with you because you were fun to be around. I had no idea we'd end up being in a relationship together. Okay. Right. So it just goes to show that, like, sometimes some of our, like you said, you had to be willing to compromise. Like a fair compromise would have been just saying, hey, I didn't like this. You didn't do this for me. And I feel like a man should do this. And if he was willing to do it, then that could have been worked out and it could have ended up being a great relationship. But instead of having that communication, which we talked about earlier, she simply ghosted him and cut him off to a degree. Like never went out with him again.
Because he didn't do that.
What happened? Because he didn't do that.
Because he didn't do that.
Right.
Okay.
And but then you ended up with the no good guy. You know what I'm saying? Like down the road.
My question could be this, right?
Yeah.
So as you mentioned, this lady's dealing with a lot, of what she believes in her mind is a man that she wants to be with that has certain qualities, right?
Yeah.
So I understand if she believes that, for example, that it's a guy that doesn't open the door and know that, right? It's a no for her, right?
Yeah.
I respect that.
I respect
but
it.
What I would say though is the way that she handled it was kind of an example of why it was deeper than just the guy not opening the door. Like you should be able to, with something so small, I believe, right? Even if you're not going to, I don't know how many dates they went on before she.
Nah, it was one date. One date.
Oh, it was one date.
One
okay.
and done.
So my
But
point
the
is
reason
this.
was the door.
Okay, so if that's your reason, you're dealing with somebody who doesn't communicate. So her problem is not that the guy didn't open the door. The problem probably was a bunch of other things. She used that door as her reason. The same way guys use a reason for why they don't want to be with a woman, and they'll tell you, I have friends and they'll tell me all types of reasons why they don't want to be with somebody. That's my cat. They'll tell me all types of reasons why they don't want to be with somebody, but they'll never tell you the real reason because the real reason makes them seem superficial. So I have friends who they tell me, and I know my friend is listening, he didn't want to admit that this girl wasn't his cup of tea, right? So he went around and telling me and my other friend about this, and I kept pointing other girls who had the same qualities that he dated.
Yeah.
He didn't want to tell us that this girl's appearance was what he had an issue with, right? Because he kept saying stuff like she's a good girl, she's a nice girl. I said, listen, nobody describes a girl on a first date or they think is hot as a nice girl.
Right. That's
You're
right.
not talking to your mom and your dad. So when you started saying that, I said, you just don't want to admit the real reason why you don't want to see this girl. And we kept talking about it till finally he came out and said, you're right. I didn't want to admit it. It's because I'm not attracted to her like that. I said, okay, why didn't you want to tell us that?
Yeah.
And he said, because it makes me sound superficial.
Wow.
I promise you, that lady that you're talking about, besides the door, I guarantee you there's something else there that she doesn't, maybe she's burying it from herself.
Maybe.
But I don't believe it. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is the door. But I don't think it's just that.
So I'll tell you what I think. I agree with you. I think that there was something else. I don't know what that something else is or was, right? But if I had to guess, I think it could have had something to do with his status as well. Just because I know her and I know some of her history.
What you mean her status?
His status.
What you mean what about his status?
So,
what was his status?
Very successful guy.
Okay.
A very successful guy, like more successful than the average guy. To a degree. And so I feel like because of some of her past and some of her issues, that perhaps she just didn't want to be in a certain type of situation. And that played a part, whether it was conscious or subconscious with her. I believe that's just my belief. I have nothing to base that on or to prove it.
Possible.
But just knowing her and having had conversations and all of that. But what I will say is this, though. I will say that I think the thing with me was I was less threatening. I was the party guy. I was the fun guy. I was the guy that, like, I can hang out with this guy and not get attached to him. And I can have someone that I can sleep with and stuff like that and not have to worry about whatever. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't expect for it to turn into what it turned into. Right?
That's possible.
Yeah. I mean, that's just my take on it.
No, listen, anything is possible.
Everything is possible.
Anything is possible.
Everything
is possible.
That's my take on it. Because like I said, she told me straight up, even the day that she gave me a number, she was like, yeah, I think you're cool. You'd be fun to hang out with.
Yeah.
And then, once we were together and I was like, well, what happened? She was like, I don't even know how this happened, dude. Because I had no intentions. You know what I mean?
Right.
So But I feel like it was just a matter of me being basically I wasn't threatening in a way that she perceived threats. Because you got to understand, I was a hell of a threat because I wasn't ready. Because I wasn't hitting on nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I was the worst threat. But it's all about perception, because I tell people all the time, perception is reality. It doesn't matter what I was walking aggressively towards you with my hand in my pocket. It doesn't matter what I was up to. If you perceived it as a threat, that's the only thing that matters to you. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. And she knows better than anybody. So
exactly,
you're right. She would know better than anybody. But no, I'll be an interesting one to ask her one day if she'll tell you the truth.
Well, and maybe eventually, you know, we're still friends and we still talk from time to time. But you know, there's a lot of layers to that one, man.
It sounds like a lot of layers. I'm like more layers than a layer cake.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, man.
Oh man, now this is good, man. I enjoyed this conversation, bro.
I definitely enjoyed it, man. It didn't even really feel like we were podcasting. We were just doing what we do, man. We were just talking
all the time. No, we do what we do all the time.
Yes, sir.
Bro, this was great. Any other questions for? I got to.
No, man. I've taken enough of your time.
No, I want a final question. Give me a final question.
Give you a final question. Okay, I'm gonna give you one that you could possibly wrap up fairly.
People in the room, you said you have some questions of the day.
Yeah, man. So I'll give you this one, and then after this one, I need your closing thoughts. Though we got to do some closing thoughts. But if a woman is more qualified to lead, this is a hard one, bro. I'm telling you, because when the guy asked me, I had to sit on it.
I want to hear this one.
If a woman is more qualified to lead, should she be allowed to lead in the confines of a relationship?
See, now that question is pretty funny. You said should she be allowed? Wait,
that's the way it was presented. But
okay.
let's remove the word allowed. Should she be the one that leads?
How about this? I'm gonna make it real simple. That's a simple one.
I'm listening.
It's very simple. Now, whoever is more qualified in the area should be doing the leading. So
it's not got you.
Has nothing to do with your gender. If I seen many of foolish people, for example, their lady is more qualified in the area of finance, but he's doing the taxes.
Shouldn't be.
No, if she's more qualified in building the home and construction, and she should be doing the construction.
Got you.
That's really simple.
I agree 100%. But man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I had to think on that for a minute.
Really? Why?
I did, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because for the same reason he asked the question. Because society has tried to implant these ideologies in our minds that when these situations arise, it's like, oh, it can't be this way. It should be this way. But whoever has the greatest experience or who's the most talented in that skill set for that particular situation should be the one to take the reins. I agree 100%.
Listen, all I'm looking for is the win. Like that's like right. I don't play sports, right? So I'm not even gonna lie, but hopefully this analogy makes sense. If the person that makes the most shots, and if he's a 3-pointer or whatever, he's close to that thing. You don't care who it is, give him the ball.
Give him the ball.
So I think if your woman is talented or the man is more talented in the area that you guys need to win in, you put your ego to the side, you stop this man and woman nonsense, and you give the person
That's right.
the rock, and you say, shoot your shot. But you don't sit there saying, like, I never had a worry of, like, is my woman going to be more successful than me? Because it's a team. Somebody asked me a question one time. They said, well, because my lady had beat me in something. It was we were both on Toastmasters, and it was a speaking contest, and my lady beat me. And they said, how does it feel to lose to your woman? I said, how can you lose when you're on the same team? Ooh. You cannot lose. We all got a ring. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's team Glenn, it's team, like, you know, you can't lose.
Yeah, bro.
So when you think that you're separate and you think that like, oh, if my lady hits, then I don't get a ring, but we both get a ring. We both get the trophy.
Yeah.
So I told that person, they were looking at me like, oh my God, like, because they never heard it that way.
That was a mic drop.
I can't lose. I can't lose when my lady's winning. She can't lose when I'm winning because we go in the same place.
Yeah.
So how are we
that's
losing?
facts.
We a hell of a team. And that's what to me, when I think of a successful relationship is about being a team player. And I'll give you my closing thoughts, and then we're going to end, because I could hear my lady. I think she might be ready for me in a minute.
Okay. All right.
So yes, tell me what my closing thoughts.
Yeah, give me your closing thoughts, bro.
My closing thoughts. I think that was pretty much it. But my closing thoughts, I would say, is you have to define. If we talked, the topic was we talking about what does a successful relationship look like to us, and I think you define what success looks like to you in your relationship. Like, it is forget about, like, there was a time when societal norms made sense. There was a time when men made more money than women. There was a time where there wasn't as many ambitious pioneers, because they were not allowed. Like you said, the word allowed, women were not allowed to compete with men at some point. And so now that they can compete, we cannot stop them from progressing, because our ego is saying, oh, well, my ego is hurt. Put your ego in check. And this goes for women too. If your husband or your spouse is a better cook than you, then sit in the back and watch.
Take notes.
Don't get offended, and don't think because I'm the woman I'm supposed to be able to cook. You have to get rid of those things that have been holding us back. A lot of this chatter holds us back. Like, when we put that stuff to the back and we really dig in and we really like say, okay, I want better, then we make it. Like, I don't look at what society thinks me and my girlfriend should be. It's whatever, when we in this house, when we out, and whatever we say go. Period. There is no, like, we take turns on the leadership role. Sometimes she's leading, sometimes I'm leading. Every good leader has to know how to be a follower.
I agree with that. You've heard me say that before, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Glenn. Bro, how can I put it? What do I want to say? You know that a lot of men won't agree with that.
I don't care.
I know you don't care. You know, I know that.
I don't care.
But my question, and just that hits my mind, is how can you not, though? Because it makes so much fucking sense, bro.
But you know what's funny? People ask me the same thing. They'll say, well, like, you know, a lot of women don't agree like how your lady agrees. I only need one woman to agree with me, and that's the woman I'm with. I don't care if the rest of them don't see. I don't get mad what they think a man is, what's a real man. That's why I don't get mad when I see posts about what a real man is. As long as my woman don't think that way, great. I don't care if 99.9% women think that. If my lady don't think that, I'm ahead of the curve.
You're ahead of the curve.
I don't care what nobody thinks. I don't care what other men think either. It's a waste of time.
I know that.
I can't control I can't control what women think, what men think. I can't control what my lady think. Only thing that matters is that me and her, we in alignment, and that is what I care about. And the people that I'm around with, you know, that they're not crazy and trying to enforce their opinions on other people. You can hold whatever opinion it's your prerogative.
Yeah.
And that's my thoughts.
Absolutely. Glenn, I appreciate you, bro.
Hey, Kepler, I see Kepler hey, Kepler, what's going on?
Yeah, that's Petra. That's my co-host.
Petra, sorry.
Petra. It's Petra. Yeah, but I just call her Petra for short.
Oh, Petra. What's up, Petra?
That is my co-host, man. She made it. But yeah, bro, as always, man, it's been a pleasure, man. You always drop jewels, and I just wanted to give you the platform. You have the platform, but give you an opportunity to do it on my platform. And so I had to kind of bait you a little bit, man. Like, try to, you know what I'm saying?
No, you didn't have to bait me. I would have came on here. You didn't have to bait me. No, I love this.
No, I knew you would have come on, but I said when I say bait you, like how you give me pushback sometimes, make me kind of go in. Yeah. I had to bait you a little bit into giving them, like really putting the jewels out there. You know what I'm saying? Because man, what a lot of people don't know is that you are a very a good source of information. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Well, listen, let me tell you something. We all, like, I'll put it this way before we end, because I don't want to give you that one. I think that when we are around creative minds, it heightens, it takes us up another level. So when you bring me to that level, like,
up, bro.
I have hamburger friends. I told you I got hamburger friends. I got steak friends. Everybody is not supposed to be a steak. Everybody's not supposed to be. You're supposed to have varying degrees, and so you might see me in varying degrees, depends on who I'm around. So just know that it is you that has heightened my awareness in certain situations, and that is why I am here in this present moment as I am, because you're a mirror and we reflect off each other. So that's the kind of conversation we have. But I also can enjoy a burger conversation as well. And on that
note, brother, I will talk to you later, man.
All right, brother.
Have a good one.
A pleasure.